America to be overrun by masses of illegal aliens and giant caravans, you better vote Republican.
President Trump doubling down on his immigration crackdown as the caravan moves closer.
He's shown that he cares about illegal immigration. We haven't seen that before.
The White House is working on executive action to change the rules for asylum seekers.
No nation can allow itself to be overwhelmed by uncontrolled masses of people.
This ain't Hollywood. This is Georgia.
Republicans are staking Tuesday on Trump power, while Democrats are pinning key races on star power.
You get a vote, and you get a vote.
Just 4 days until the midterms, President Trump rallying, urging voters to keep Republicans in power.
America is booming, and America is winning. We are finally putting America first.
But you heard him. I heard him, and it was life-changing. It was like,
is that your first concert ever?
No, but it was the first time with the Stones. But it was way up there. It was way up in the lights. But I could hear it.
It's still, I've never been to a Rolling Stones concert.
They were fantastic.
Probably never going to happen.
Well, the reason we're playing Start Me Up is because you got 4 days between now and Tuesday to go out and vote. And as we know, the midterms are going to be consequential. Have you heard?
And, you know, I was down in Florida yesterday, and almost every single person in that diner had already voted. I mean, the amount of early voting happening across the country is indicative, I think, of the amount of... Are you really?
I am.
The amount of enthusiasm in this country for these races. People are paying attention to politics wall to wall and coming out to vote.
It's so wonderful that some of these states allow you to go out to the polls earlier and vote early so that your voice can be heard. The president was in your neck of the woods. You said you heard the Rolling Stones in Kansas.
Yep.
He was in Missouri, in Columbia, Missouri last night. He has 11 stops in a matter of 8 days, and this was his second stop. Take a listen to what he said last night.
I'm thrilled to be back in the American heartland, right here, with the incredible men and women that make this country run. This election will decide whether we build on an extraordinary prosperity that we have achieved. Under Republican leadership, America is booming, America is thriving, and America is winning because we are finally putting America first. The Democrat agenda is the agenda of the extreme far left. The Republicans are the party of all Americans. The Democrats are the party of rigid ideology and total conformity. They demand absolute agreement, and they dismiss, demean, and demonize anyone who questions their radical ideas.
So there you got the president. He was in Missouri he would like to see Claire McCaskill retired from the U.S. Senate. He's got 2 stops today. He would like to see Joe Manchin, who insists that he votes so often with the president. He'd like to see Joe Manchin out there in West Virginia. He'd like to see Joe Donnelly out in Indiana, and so he's going to both West Virginia and Indiana today.
And it's so close between Hawley and McCaskill. McCaskill, this is her 23rd race. She has a lot of experience in politics.
23rd race.
23rd, yes. In 2012, she spent $1.5 million of her own money to promote the GOP candidate that she thought was more likely to lose.
She picked her candidate.
And it worked.
Now she's up against a real, viable, quality challenger in Hawley.
He's going to be on our show today.
He is. And the president is laying out as clear a case as you possibly can. The stark difference. And even when talking about Claire McCaskill, she voted against Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, she may be saying some nice things about President Trump these days because there's a lot of Trump voters in Missouri. Ultimately, she's been a reliable vote for Chuck Schumer.
And the president won by 19 points in that state.
Right.
So probably not the smartest move for her to vote against Kavanaugh because folks there love the president.
Well, and her ads are like, you know, I vote so often with the president, but she didn't vote with the president when it came to the border wall, when it came to the tax cut, or Mr. Kavanaugh as well. Because look at the balance of power in the Senate. It is just so close. Right now, Republicans have 51. They would, you know what? It sounds as if the Republicans are going to hold the Senate. The big question is what's going to happen out in the House of Representatives. The Cook Political Report has changed their forecast. They say that between 30 and 40 seats could be picked up by the Democrats in this wave. But I think it all comes down to turnout, which we've been talking about. Ultimately, That's why the president, you see him everywhere. He's pulling out all the stops, not going to leave anything in the locker room. He's trying to convince everybody, hey, it's a midterm. I know you don't vote in the midterm very often. You've got to do it this time to preserve the Republican
And
majority.
if you have the chance to go out and vote early, go and do that. Because I was watching Fox and Friends first, and Janice was doing the weather report. Said it's going to be raining in a lot of states across the country on Tuesday on Election Day. So try to go out and vote early if you can in your state.
I'm a big believer of voting. I love voting on Election Day. I think it should be a national holiday. I think everyone should have the day off and should go vote. But early voting is increasing a lot of people's involvement. And I don't know about the term wave. I don't think it's going to be a wave either way, especially if you look at these Senate races that are, you just put up the map of the Senate. Some of these races, Nevada, Arizona, Missouri, Indiana, Florida, I mean, you look at the Real Clear Politics average, you look at the polling that's going on right now, it's either way. It's 2 or 3 points in each one of those races with either established incumbents in places or good quality challengers. And I think on election night, you're going to be tuned to Fox News Channel late into the evening because a lot of these races are going to go down to the wire.
Well, that's why the president's going to Missouri twice during these stops, these 11 stops, and Florida twice.
Think about it. That's all you can ask for as a candidate, though, is a leader of your party at the top who knows how to communicate and is absolutely tireless in his willingness to go out and stump for the candidates he supports. And that's certainly what we're seeing from the president.
All right, tonight the president will be in West Virginia and in Indianapolis.
Well, you know, the vice president was out in Georgia yesterday, as was one of the most famous people on earth. Oprah Winfrey was out in Georgia. She was in Marietta, Georgia. She gave a speech because she is supporting the Democrat who is running for governor, Stacey Abrams. If she wins, will be the first African-American woman to ever be a U.S. governor. And apparently Oprah just called her out of the blue 3 days ago and said, I'm going to come and help. And you know what? Stacey Abrams said, come to Georgia.
You betcha.
And she was there yesterday. Watch.
You make your voice heard on November 6th. We have this incredible opportunity to make history. And I want to make it very clear to all the press, everybody, I'm not here because I'm making some grandstand because I'm thinking about running myself. I don't want to run. I'm here today because of Stacey Abrams. For anybody here who has an ancestor who didn't have the right to vote, and you are choosing not to vote wherever you are in this state, in this country, you are dishonoring your family.
I think that's going to help.
She was really good. I was watching it on the plane on JetBlue on the way back, and she's eminently entertaining. You don't see her for a while, and then she comes back. Listen, she's effective. I don't know if it'll be effective in that race or not. She's a great communicator.
It'll be effective, I'm sure. I don't know if she'll be able to carry Stacey Abrams, you know, over the winning line, but we'll see. Mike Pence was also there, and he reminded the folks in Georgia, you can bring in Hollywood, but these are Georgians. Listen.
I heard Oprah Winfrey's in town today. And Will Ferrell I saw going door to door not too long ago. Well, I've been saying it all day. I'd like to remind Stacey and Oprah and Will Ferrell, I'm kind of a big deal too. And I got a message for all Stacey Abrams liberal friends coming to Georgia. This ain't Hollywood. This is Georgia. And Georgia deserves a governor who'll fight every day for Georgia values and put Georgia first. That's Brian Kemp.
I'm kind of a big deal, too.
Remember when Will Ferrell said that in Anchorman?
I'm kind of a big deal, too, but you ain't Oprah, bro. I mean, Mr. Vice President. I mean, Oprah brings out the passion and the emotions. It's tough to compete with that.
Well, let's see what happens down in Georgia. Meanwhile, the President of the United States, you saw him in the late afternoon where I think it was the Roosevelt Room, where essentially he said that there will be an executive order signed next week that is going to change the immigration laws regarding people who come into the country illegally when they seek asylum. If you're going to ask for asylum, you got to go through a port. If you wind up just crossing the Rio Grande Valley and the river into Texas, not at a port, you will be detained. You'll be put in a tent. They're going to build massive tent cities. And you will be adjudicated right there. They're not going to release you into the country anymore.
Because in the past, when you were released, only a small fraction after that actually show up for their hearings. And they stay illegally.
I've heard as many as just 2%.
That's right, very low. So the president gave this speech, a policy speech about immigration yesterday from the White House. This is part of what he had to say.
Those who choose to break our laws and enter illegally will no longer be able to use meritless claims to gain automatic admission into our country. We will hold them for a long time if necessary. Illegal immigration affects the lives of all Americans. Illegal immigration hurts American workers, burdens American taxpayers, and undermines public safety and places enormous strain on our local schools, hospitals, and communities in general. Illegal immigration costs our country billions and billions of dollars each year. Mass, uncontrolled immigration is especially unfair to the many wonderful, law-abiding immigrants.
Speaking of immigrants, apparently 6 of them, Hondurans, in one of the caravans, filed lawsuits yesterday in Washington, D.C., and in federal court, and it argues that the president's response to the caravan violates the rights of asylum seekers by aiming to block them from entry or to detain them indefinitely.
I'm no lawyer.
Under unsuitable
But you're in a caravan from a country you're not even in, and you get to sue that country before you even get there?
Welcome to America!
My goodness.
Well, there were 7,200 that started in that initial caravan, and now they're down to about 4,000. Many of them have stopped and said the trek is too difficult.
Well, that's the one caravan.
That's
I think
right.
I've heard there are 4 or 5 now.
3 or 4 more, a couple hundred in many of them.
Yeah. Anyway. Let's hand it over to Jill. You know, has some more headlines for us.
That's right. Good
morning.
Friday morning to you. Let's get you caught up on some of your news, starting with this. A sheriff's deputy is fighting for his life after being shot in the head. Officers trying to serve a warrant to a sex offender when the suspect pulled out a knife at a store in Texas. Witnesses left in shock.
The cop goes over there and says, "Hey, sir, stop." And seeing what he pulls out of his shirt is a knife about that big. He says, "Hey, man, don't mess with me. I'll stab you. I'm not playing around. I'll stab you."
That unnamed suspect got away and barricaded himself inside a hotel room. He shot the deputy when officers tried to get inside. That man is now in custody. A driver hits and kills a 7-year-old boy waiting for his school bus, then drives away. The second grader found dead when his bus finally arrived. The suspect says they didn't know they hit a child, and 5 kids and 2 adults rushed to the hospital after being hit by a car at a school bus stop in Tampa, Florida. The driver is in custody. Witnesses say he was speeding. Overnight, President Trump asking his cabinet to draw up a potential trade deal with China. According to Bloomberg, he's hoping to negotiate an agreement at a summit in Argentina this month. It comes as Attorney General Jeff Sessions charges a Chinese company with stealing American trade secrets.
Cheating must stop. It's time for China to join the community of lawful nations.
Sessions also announcing a new program to investigate Chinese trade theft. Former President George H.W. Bush exercising his civic duty with his best friends. His spokesman posting a photo of the 41st president voting early in Texas. Bush spotted with former Secretary of State Jim Baker and his service dog, Sully. That's a great photo, isn't it? Yep.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Jillian.
All right. Moving on. Anthem protest taken to a whole new level. Now the cheerleader who's now taking a knee. We'll bring it to you.
And Democrats remain confident about the upcoming midterms, but our next guest warns the so-called blue wave might be more of a whimper. Wave after wave.
I am absolutely confident these candidates are going to win.
We have a much better chance of taking back the Senate than anybody ever imagined.
You really think that?
I really think it.
Up until today, I would have said if the election were held today, we would win. Now I'm saying is we will win.
Okay, she says Democrats are going to win. Some Democrats very confident heading into the midterms on Tuesday, but will the so-called blue wave really materialize, or will be more of a whimper? Let's talk to Washington Examiner columnist Kristen Soltis Anderson. Kristen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
If this election were held a year ago, it would have been a blue tsunami, right?
for sure. A year ago, we had numbers showing things like the tax bill being very unpopular. You had independents breaking very heavily against the GOP. But over the last year, the president's job approval's gotten much better. That generic ballot number, who people want to see in control of Congress, has gotten down into the single digits. It still favors Democrats, but not nearly by the margins that it did a year ago. So things are looking a little better for Republicans than they would have back when the blue wave was first really predicted.
Sure, and that's when everybody was talking about it. Now people are going, well, maybe it's not such a big wave as it was a year ago because the president's more popular, the tax cut, people are getting their head around, they understand that as well. But ultimately, for the Republicans, so many of them decided about a year ago to retire or get out of the House, and that's what brought us to this point, really, isn't it?
Well, there are a lot of districts that are now in play, in part because they're open seats. You know, members who just decided, I don't want to deal with it. And look, being in Congress doesn't seem like a ton of fun. I don't blame them. But well, I think, you know, in many of these districts, the fact that it's an open seat made it tougher, but they were still going to face really challenging re-elections. A lot of folks that maybe got elected in the 2010 wave that was great for Republicans, but had never faced a tough challenge. This was going to be a tough challenge, but now it's even tougher when you've got so many open seats on the playing field.
When we look at the power rankings, House of Representatives, it does look as if the blue is going to prevail on Tuesday. But the Democrats have been very effective in making this particular race at the local level, at the district level, about health care. And you could ask them about Anwar, drilling in Anwar. They're going to answer with an answer regarding health care. They've been so disciplined.
That's right, and it's partially because Democrats have developed a lead on that issue. In the NBC Wall Street Journal poll from last week, Democrats had an 18-point advantage on that issue. Meanwhile, Republicans lead big on issues like the economy. And interestingly, one of the reasons why I think this isn't behaving like a normal wave election is Republicans have a very slim lead on the question of who do you expect to, or who would you trust more to bring about change in Washington? Normally, the party out of power benefits in a midterm because they're seen as the party of change. Democrats, not so much this time around.
Okay, let's see what happens. We'll know on Wednesday. Kristen, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
All right. As we just told you, Oprah is the latest celebrity helping Hollywood roll out the blue carpet. But haven't we seen this before? Will celebrity endorsements help? With just 4 days to go, a debate coming up.
Welcome back. A couple of quick headlines for you. The Trump administration getting tough on socialist countries in Latin America. National Security Advisor John Bolton announcing new sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba and warning sanctions against Nicaragua. They're coming in the near future. Bolton slamming the countries for oppressing their people and causing regional instability. And in a second story, he's known as being the Trump of the tropics. But it looks like Brazil's president-elect is taking a page out of our president's playbook. Jair Bolsonaro vowing to move the Brazilian embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It would be the third country to make that move, following the U.S. and Guatemala. Ainsley, down to you.
All right, thank you so much. Oprah joining the growing list of Hollywood celebrities pushing Americans to vote for Democrats next week. Watch this.
And for anybody here who has an ancestor who didn't have the right to vote, and you are choosing not to vote wherever you are in this state, in this country, you are dishonoring your family.
But does a celebrity endorsement this late in the game, does it matter? Here to debate this is Republican strategist Jenna Ellis and Democratic strategist Kristen Hahn. Thank you both for being with us. Kristen, I'll start with you since you're a Democrat. Does that help the Democratic Party? Does it help rally the votes for Stacey Abrams this late in the game?
So I'm just going to go back. I was laughing over the break that you guys said that the Democrats are disciplined, so I'll take that as a compliment. Nobody's ever accused us of that before. But I do think, generally, no. I'm a Texan. We don't like people telling us what to do, and I think that's the same for states across the country. I do think the one exception just might be Oprah. I was just watching your show Outnumbered yesterday, and one of the hosts put it really well, that she connects with the American people on a very deep level. So I think this might be an exception, but generally I don't think that celebrity endorsements are what bring people over the line. I think it's the strength of the candidate themselves.
Jenna, Kristen brings up a really good point because she was in our living rooms for decades. We trust her, we know her story, her background, and she gave and gave so much. She gave cars to teachers. You know, she was always doing those prizes, and just remembering the people in her audience, the people who got her the fame and the fortune that she has today. So Kristen might be right. The vice president was there saying, you keep in mind, this is Georgia, this is not Hollywood, but do you think Oprah's a little different?
I don't. I don't think that her platform will help, and Oprah really represents the far left socialist agenda, and that's not going to resonate in the midterms with the American family that cares about money in their pockets, cares about the economy, cares about the things that President Trump has done in terms of putting America first. I think that American voters in particular will look to voices like Dr. James Dobson and Franklin Graham, who are encouraging Americans to get out and vote for the traditional family values that really matter, like religious liberty, sanctity of life, and even the economy, and things that genuinely will matter to the individual. And I think that that's going to be what resonates rather than this far left socialist agenda that really seems to be the only thing that is coalescing the Democrats. And that far leftist message, I mean, you talk, Ainsley, about all of the free things that Oprah gave out. Well, that's just really not practical from a political standpoint when you're talking about tying her message with socialism. And that's really been the only coalescing message around the Democrats. I think the American family is going to care about traditional values instead.
All right, Kristen, Jenna, thank you so much for your opinions this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you. You're welcome. With just 4 days until the midterms, President Trump's pushing his final messages to the voters.
This election is a choice between Republican results and radical resistance.
We are live in D.C. with what to expect as the president heads on a weekend rally blitz. Plus, a dream vacation turned into a nightmare after a cruise ship nearly tips over. The terrifying moments straight ahead.
What is all this talk about Fox Nation? Over the last couple of weeks, you've heard that coming up at the end of November, we're going to premiere a brand new streaming service. It's not a cable TV channel. This is something you'll be able to stream on your laptop, on your desktop, on your phone, on your streaming television. It's extra stuff with some of your favorite people here at Fox.
We're the super fan. We're all a part of it. We've all been shooting different stories around the country about, some are documentaries, some are about different organizations that are near and dear to our hearts. Some are cooking segments. Cookbook.
Some are new, aggressive opinion shows, even more opinion. Right. They call it opinion done right. So it's something for everybody on Fox Nation.
And to give you a feel for it, watch this.
I miss walking down the hallway to his office, joking around, talking about life, talking about business, whatever it is.
The confessed gunman, Bernhard Goetz, is in a special cell on Rikers Island tonight.
Another time and another story remembered, but always our America.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
That is the moment where George Washington proves what a leader he is to all of his men.
The biggest mistake conservatives made in the past half century was to vacate the universities and hand it all over to liberals.
You get looked at a certain way, always being a smart big guy.
To Fox Nation!
You have to get through the crust. French-based stew. For me, chili is comfort food. Wow, you nailed it! What do you think about a Trump-Biden matchup? They've threatened to fight each other.
He leaned toward us like this and said, "Gentlemen, I know why you're here. Are you here because of the dead body in the basement?"
Tawana Brawley was a pawn.
She had no injuries from an assault. What is this all about?
This is one of a number of history books that you've written, and it's really timely.
Do you ever wonder how Make-A-Wish Foundation grants thousands of wishes every year?
Documents at the heart of Dan Rather's report are now called into question.
Many fear the war has come to our shores.
With great admiration from an entire nation, welcome home.
And the chief said, Senator Kennedy, obviously we need to talk to you. Can you come down here? And Kennedy says, I prefer you come to me.
That is some good
Makes me want to sign up right now.
You better sign up.
I already am signed up.
If you'd like more information, go to foxnation.com and find out how you can subscribe. Also, come Tuesday night, we would love to have you drop by our world headquarters, 48th and 6th
They're
Avenue.
building it right now.
That's right.
See it.
They're building the Fox News experience. We've got a studio right through there, right through our windows, and then we're going to have a great big tent where we're going to host you. People are going to be, Ainsley's going to be signing her books. If you'd like more information, go to foxnews.com to sign up.
That's right.
We're going to be outside for that entire show for all 3 hours next Tuesday, and then we're all going to be sticking around to meet some of you if you come and visit us. I know you're going to be on the road. You're going to be on the road.
Yep.
We've got a lot planned for Election Day
Just
on
4
Tuesday.
days away. You still got a chance to come join us if you want to. As we mentioned, though, 4 days till those midterms, and Democrats and Republicans are kicking their campaigns into high gear.
President Trump rallying in Missouri last night, urging voters to keep Republicans in power.
Ellison Barber is live in our nation's capital with the highlights. Ellison?
Good morning to all of you. So according to the latest Fox News poll, the Missouri Senate race is a solid toss-up. They don't call it a battleground state for nothing. Missouri Democratic incumbent Claire McCaskill and a Republican challenger Josh Hawley are tied at 43%. That's where things were in early October as well. President Trump won the state by about 18% in 2016. McCaskill is trying to run a little more to the middle. The president rallied in Missouri last night, hoping to convince voters to show up on Election Day because in his view, a vote for McCaskill is a vote against his policies.
She'll never vote with me. That's the problem. She never has. And she didn't even vote for Justice Kavanaugh. Think of that. Didn't vote.
The president's campaign schedule is packed. Between now and Election Day, he'll head to at least 6 more states. He'll be in West Virginia this afternoon, Indiana this evening, Montana and Florida tomorrow. A lot of the focus is on the Senate. The math favors Democrats here. Historical precedent favors the party not in the White House. According to the latest Fox News Power rankings, Senate races in 5 states are considered toss-ups: Florida, Missouri, Indiana, Nevada, and New Mexico. The president is visiting Indiana today, and on Monday he'll also be going back to Indiana. He's also going to be in Missouri again on Monday. Steve, Ansley, Pete.
Yeah,
he's busy.
Can't keep up.
All right, all right, Allison, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Meanwhile, 25 minutes before the top of the hour, and Jillian joins us with the headline.
That's right. Good morning. Let's get you caught up right now on some of the stories that we're following. Starting with this, a sheriff's deputy is killed after her patrol car flips upside down in a flooded ditch. We're now hearing her colleagues' desperate attempts to save her life.
Way to get to her. I can't get the doors open. Can you break the window? I broke in a window, but I can't get the doors open. I can't make contact with it.
Deputy Lauren Vasquez killed on her way to a water rescue when her car went airborne and crashed. Vasquez joined the sheriff's office in May and leaves behind her parents and a brother. Passengers fear the worst after a cruise ship suddenly tilts to one side. The video shows shattered glass covering the dining room floor hours after the Carnival Sunshine set sail for the Caribbean. Some passengers so shaken up they cut their vacation short.
You felt like it was the Titanic for real. You really thought that this might be it.
Carnival blames the tilt on an electrical switchboard malfunction. They apologized and offered a $50 credit. Well, looks like Chuck Schumer can't catch a break from his own party. Watch this ad created by New York Democratic State Assemblyman Dov Hikind rejecting Schumer's plea for money. The ad ending with a simple message reading, quote, "Dear Senator Schumer, today's Democratic Party does not deserve our support." All right, some football now. The San Francisco...
22 minutes now before the top of the hour. Because they are building the Fox News experience outside, Janice Dean is inside for the weather.
Are we going to go out and show the folks what's going on outside?
When sun comes up.
I mean, it is incredible. It looks like a stadium out there.
What's the forecast going to look like for Tuesday?
So let's get to that. But first of all, I want to show you the current temperatures because we're going to see rain in the forecast across the East Coast today. Looking better, though, for the New York City Marathon, which happens on Sunday. So that's the good news. Now, here's Tuesday. And the reason why we are doing early forecasting is because we have got a very impressive storm system that's going to move across the Ohio River Valley, parts of the Tennessee, the Mississippi River Valley, and of course we all know that weather can affect voter turnout. So this is something we're going to watch. This is going to pack a lot of winds. We've got isobars that are very close together, closely packed. That means stronger winds, and that is of course going to perhaps affect things as you go out to the polls. So Ohio Valley, parts of the Tennessee Valley, Florida as well. The West Coast looks pretty good, so we're not worried about the West Coast. It's really the eastern half of the country. There's your election day forecast for some of the big cities here. Looks like Atlanta, Georgia. You could see some thunderstorms in your forecast. Chicago as well, cloudy in St. Louis. Seattle, we could see partly cloudy skies, some rain showers. We're not really worried about Houston, Texas. We're not worried about Colorado. We are going to see the potential for showers across Newark and parts of New Jersey, Charleston, West Virginia, Tallahassee, Florida, along the Panhandle. So these are some of the cities that we really need to get those voters out to vote. And unfortunately, we've got weather that could hinder that. But as you look historically, guess which party bad weather helps during Election Day?
I would
actually
imagine
don't know.
Democrats.
No, the Republicans go out to vote when it's stormy weather. Oh, you're right. It affects the Democrats because traditionally Republicans go out to vote even if there's stormy weather.
Well, there you go.
There you have it.
I mean, if you don't vote on Tuesday because it's raining, you were looking for an excuse not to vote.
Right.
You're just not that
That's
committed.
a good point. Or early voting.
Early voting.
Go
indeed.
out now.
Janice, thanks a lot. Appreciate
After
it.
our show.
Sure, right now. Take Ainsley's command.
Once things
At
open.
9 o'clock.
Siri, where's my closest polling station?
All right, thank you.
All right, remember when some Democrats said this before the 2016 election?
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
They said that a lot. Well, they're back at it again. So will history repeat itself?
And new data shows, despite the president's booming economy, Wall Street is donating more to the Democratic Party. So should Republicans be doing a better job of campaigning off Trump's growing list of accomplishments? A discussion on that coming up.
Good morning. Welcome back. Time for some quick headlines. How do you like your coffee? If you drink it black, you could be a psychopath, or at least have traits of being a psychopath. A new study from a university in Austria tested more than 1,000 adults for taste preferences and personality. It found people who like bitter foods like black coffee are more inclined to have sadistic traits. So there you have it. You crazy person, you. I'm just kidding. All right, so is it crazy to think a hot dog is a sandwich? Oscar Mayer doesn't think so, but wants you to prove them wrong. The company tweeting, quote, "We know what's true, but we're going to give you 24 hours to change our mind. Call to tell us why you think a hot dog is not a sandwich." Oscar Mayer will announce its final decision on the matter later this morning. Yes, hello, Oscar Mayer. A hot dog is not a sandwich because a hot dog is its own thing. Just like a hamburger is its own thing, it's not a sandwich. So, sorry, guys. Pete, back to you.
I agree with you 100%. Jillian, thank you. All right. Well, is Wall Street going all in for the Democrats? New data showing the street contributing over $20 million more for Democrats than Republicans. This despite a growing list of economic achievement under President Trump's watch, like historic tax cuts, record low unemployment, a manufacturing comeback, and even a boom for the Dow. So what gives on those donations, and should Republicans be doing a better job at selling these types of wins, including deregulation? Here to react, Melissa Armo, owner of the stock Swoosh. Melissa, thanks for being here this morning. So the headlines read, Wall Street's giving to Democrats, but you say there's more underneath that headline.
Fake news. And here's why. If you read the headlines, it assumes that Wall Street wants the Democrats to take control of Congress or even the House. But that's not why they're giving money. They're giving money. It's true they're giving money. They're giving money to Republicans and Democrats. But they're doing it because they're concerned that the Democrats are going to win the House. And therefore, they're going to need allies when some of these deregulation things come up, they need people in there on their side. But if you look at Wall Street, it's absolutely ridiculous, and that's why I said it's fake news to say that Wall Street doesn't want things to continue the way that they've been under Trump, because the market has rallied huge since Trump.
Sure.
And I encourage people to look at their 401k statements from September 2016 to September 2018 before you go into the polls and vote. And look at your 401k. If it's up, if you've made anywhere close to 30% or more, then why wouldn't you vote Republican?
So Wall Street's saying we're concerned Democrats will be the ones writing the regulations in the House now.
Yes.
So we're going to give to them so we have a seat at the table.
Yes.
But what do they think a Democratic takeover would actually do for their markets? So if the Democrats did win, wouldn't that actually hurt their bottom line?
I don't know if they don't care. They've made money too. That's what doesn't make any sense. Wall Street has made a huge amount of money, but so have American people who've had 401ks, and anyone that's had a 401k has made money just simply by being in the market. The S&P is up close to 40%. The Dow is up close to 40%. The Dow just made brand new all-time highs on October 3rd.
So, and the president has said if you like these markets, then you better elect Republicans.
He was right.
If the Republicans win the House, does that help the markets?
I think that, here's what I think, how I think it's going to play out. I think because all the assumptions are that the Democrats are going to win the House. If, in fact, they don't and they're wrong, just like they were wrong about Hillary Clinton winning the election. And remember, the market was down huge the night of the election. The futures were down enormously huge. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the time when Trump won the next day, it rallied. And we have rallied every single day since Trump got elected. He's taken credit for it, and rightfully so.
Well, the markets like tax cuts.
Right. So here's what I think is going to happen. If this plays out that everybody's wrong and the Republicans keep control of Congress, I think you're going to see a huge surge in the market coming into next week.
And so can those Wall Street execs get their donations back if that happens?
Probably
not, right?
I don't think they're going to care if it ends up being
That's true,
if things work out.
Then their 401ks are looking good too. Melissa Armo, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right, well, still ahead, White House Director of Strategic Communications, Mercedes Schlapp, joins us live. Plus, if you read the headlines like we were just talking about, you'd think Republicans are doomed to hold the House. But this is what happened the last time the Democrats predicted a victory for Hillary. So will history repeat itself in 2018? We'll answer that question for you.
Good morning. Welcome back. Time for some quick headlines. How do you like your coffee? If you drink it black, you could be a psychopath, or at least have traits of being a psychopath. A new study from a university in Austria tested more than 1,000 adults for taste preferences and personality. It found people who like bitter foods like black coffee are more inclined to have sadistic traits. So there you have it. You crazy person, you. I'm just kidding. All right, so is it crazy to think a hot dog is a sandwich? Oscar Mayer doesn't think so, but wants you to prove them wrong. The company tweeting, quote, "We know what's true, but we're going to give you 24 hours to change our mind. Call to tell us why you think a hot dog is not a sandwich." Oscar Mayer will announce its final decision on the matter later this morning. Yes, hello, Oscar Mayer. A hot dog is not a sandwich because a hot dog is its own thing. Just like a hamburger is its own thing, it's not a sandwich. So, oh, sorry, guys. Pete, back to you.
I agree with you 100%. Jillian, thank you. All right. Well, is Wall Street going all in for the Democrats? New data showing the street contributing over $20 million more for Democrats than Republicans. This despite a growing list of economic achievement under President Trump's watch, like historic tax cuts, record low unemployment, a manufacturing comeback, and even a boom for the Dow. So what gives on those donations, and should Republicans be doing a better job at selling these types of wins, including deregulation? Here to react, Melissa Armo, owner of the stock Swoosh. Melissa, thanks for being here this morning. So the headlines read, Wall Street's giving to Democrats, but you say there's more underneath that headline.
Fake news. And here's why. If you read the headlines, it assumes that Wall Street wants the Democrats to take control of Congress or even the House. But that's not why they're giving money. They're giving money. It's true they're giving money. They're giving money to Republicans and Democrats. But they're doing it because they're concerned that the Democrats are going to win the House. And therefore, they're going to need allies when some of these deregulation things come up. They need people in there on their side. But if you look at Wall Street, it's absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I said it's fake news to say that Wall Street doesn't want
things to continue the way that they've been under Trump, because the market has rallied huge since Trump.
Sure.
And I encourage people to look at their 401k statements from September 2016 to September 2018 before you go into the polls and vote. And look at your 401k. If it's up, if you've made anywhere close to 30% or more, then why wouldn't you vote Republican?
So Wall Street's saying we're concerned Democrats will be the ones writing the regulations in the House now.
Yes.
So we're going to give to them so we have a seat at the table.
Yes.
But what do they think a Democratic takeover would actually do for their markets? So if the Democrats did win, wouldn't that actually hurt their bottom line?
I don't know if they don't care. They've made money too. That's what doesn't make any sense. Wall Street has made a huge amount of money, but so have American people who've had 401ks, and anyone that's had a 401k has made money just simply by being in the market. The S&P is up close to 40%. The Dow is up close to 40%. The Dow just made brand new all-time highs on October 3rd.
So, and the president has said if you like these markets, then you better elect Republicans.
He was right.
If the Republicans win the House, does that help the markets?
I think that, here's what I think, how I think it's going to play out. I think because all the assumptions are that the Democrats are going to win the House. If, in fact, they don't and they're wrong, just like they were wrong about Hillary Clinton winning the election. And remember, the market was down huge the night of the election. The futures were down enormously huge. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the time when Trump won the next day, it rallied. And we have rallied every single day since Trump got elected. He's taken credit for it, and rightfully so.
Well, the markets like tax cuts.
Right. So here's what I think is going to happen. If this plays out that everybody is wrong and the Republicans keep control of Congress, I think you're going to see a huge surge in the market coming into next week.
And so can those Wall Street execs get their donations back if that happens?
Probably
not, right?
I don't think they're going to care if it ends up being
That's true,
if things work out.
Then their 401ks are looking good too. Melissa Armo, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
We appreciate it. All right, well, still ahead, White House Director of Strategic Communications, Mercedes Schlapp, joins us live. Plus, if you read the headlines like we were just talking about, you'd think Republicans are doomed to hold the House. But this is what happened the last time the Democrats predicted a victory for Hillary. So will history repeat itself in 2018? We'll answer that question for you.